www.events/ideas. All right, so with all of that said, we will be taking questions toward the end of today's session. Today's moderator, Megan, will be hanging out in the chat box. Also, be sure to submit any questions utilizing the Q&A box located in the Zoom control panel. We'll also be taking note of any questions to get them answered live during our Q&A. And then for my HHCC folks, please pop your questions into the comments. And what we'll do is we'll be bringing in all of these questions and try to get them answered during this Q&A. So we will also be selecting 4 winners from our webinar to participate both in Zoom and HHCC. We're not leaving anyone out on this one during this episode. And today's winners will be receiving a free Wounded Warrior Project journal and a $25 Amazon e-gift card, hopefully to buy some really fancy markers for that journal. No, I'm not biased at all. That's just what I do. So, and also a recording from today's webinar will be available in the guide section on HHCC. You're also going to be able to see it on the website at hiddenheroes.org/C3. That information will also be available following today's broadcast. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Liz and Chris as we get started. Liz and Chris, take it away.
Sure. Is our first slide up? I can't see it for some reason. I want to make sure you all can see it. There we go. We are so excited to be able to offer this workshop to all of you. It was sponsored or is sponsored by Comcast Universal by their Veterans Initiative so that you can partake in what has become an incredible tool, an incredible recreational therapy tool over the years. Ben created this. Oops, can I switch the slide? We're going to talk about the story, then we're going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to answer some questions. So Ben started this many years ago. He created this really with the idea of helping teenagers, and then given his family history, clearly wanted to try it out on veterans, and it was just had some phenomenal success working within military bases, and then started to work with the VA and actually did a clinical study on the efficacy of it for PTS and depression among veterans. All of our cohorts, for the most part, have been veterans, although we definitely have included family members, but this will be our first caregiver family only workshop. You can go to the next slide. I want to talk through just what you're getting into. So the first day, everyone gathers on Zoom. It's a slightly shorter session. It's in the afternoon, a little more relaxed. So after work, after school, whatever you have going on during the day, and you're going to get to know your fellow participants. You're going to learn how to be a filmmaker. And by the end of day 1, you're going to have made a film. Day 2 is brainstorming, creating the idea for the film that you want to make, finding who in the group you want to make a film with, and breaking. You'll do that in breakout groups. So big brainstorming, and then break into small groups and breakout rooms with a filmmaker, your own dedicated filmmaker, to help work through all of those ideas and bring them to life. And then day 3, everybody gets back into their groups and films. And that's all that happens that last day, is filming and a little bit of editing. And then we have a screening set up, usually just a few days after the workshop. And that is your chance to show your work, invite your friends and family to see it, and really, to talk about your experience in the workshop and reconnect with your fellow filmmakers. You can go to the next slide. So I'm going to hand this off to Chris. Chris is one of our most experienced instructors. He's been doing workshops with us for years, and he's now supervising our workshops. He is your right-hand person for all of your needs when it's related to the workshops. And he has so many great stories to tell from what we've experienced with past participants. And so I would love to hand it off to him.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Zoomies and Facebookers. We welcome you to our info session. I think everyone in the room probably knows how to watch films and how to really good at watching TV, especially now, probably really good at binging stuff. So, that's a kind of common ground that people enter in. And there's a lot of different reactions to what the workshop is and what it can be. I think in a short sense, it's like we're all gathered together to create a recipe and to bake a cake and to put things into the room, ingredients, ideas, themes that you might have from your own experience as caregivers. I know I've come into the workshops about 7 years ago as a civilian with my grandfather was in the Filipino Army as a pilot, and getting a sense of how deep the community is in the military, and getting a sense of the family involvement and just what it means to be in the military as being someone who you have support and you have this ideal of what Americanism is and what patriotism is and what all of these things mean to you. And being, I guess, caregivers, you experience different parts of what that means. And we're definitely trying to reach through to those ideas of what that means and what you go through and what you have to experience, and try to create a medium where you can share those ideas in a safe way with your family members or with other people you think could benefit. And that all comes from our core tenet, which is listen, collaborate, and empower, which is something we'll go over on day one. We'll teach you guys a little bit about film theory and aspects of that. The difference between what a close-up is and what a medium shot is, or like a wide shot and a master, and how you use a visual language to get to the ideas that you're trying to get across in a short, condensed way. I find that's very effective. I'll just read two of the reflections here at the bottom. There was a sense of accomplishment in seeing the final product after we had built it from scratch, based upon ideas and input from the group. It was like seeing a painting come to life from a blank canvas. This was incredibly different from what I was expecting going into the project. I had to look into myself and figure out what really mattered to me. Being able to deliver my why on video was huge and well received. And I like to say, you can't manufacture a connection. And most of the time we come into these workshops with, soldiers or veterans or who don't know each other and have different experiences. And, we've had experiences where Vietnam veterans were very publicly angry at the kind of Middle Eastern conflict veterans, being like, oh, we had to deal with so much stress and so much ill will afterwards, and you guys don't have to deal with any of that. And then, we were able to find a common ground and speak to them about what social media is like nowadays and how there's a million more pictures now than there were back then. And, they were able to create stronger films together, just talking about the overall theme of how they had felt coming back and becoming civilians again. And really steer a course towards making things possible. I know it can be very intimidating at first to be like, oh, we're going to make a film and this is going to stand for all of these things, and we want to make sure it stands for everything you're talking about. But at the same time, like with the nature of Zoom and participation, it's not like we're in a room together. But we've been really surprised at how effective this method has been. There have been some really incredible films that have been made through this process where we've been able to reach out and empower some people to do things they never thought they could do before. In our last workshop, we had this one woman who experienced military sexual trauma early on, and she was definitely in a place where she's in recovery, but still trying to find the pieces of herself to be productive and create a storyline. And day two, as Liz said, we really go hard into that moment of, it's almost like a therapy session, and you guys as caregivers probably understand that more than most about what that entails, and listening and speaking and hearing and giving each other space to really just react to each other. That day two is all about that. And by the end of that session, we're able to help condense the groups into the themes that they want to go and make films about. And that the burden is on us as filmmakers, as these master chefs, as you will, to make the recipe work. We are here to empower your ideas and to create work. And to be honest, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it's going to work, it always works. It just, you always have these really visceral films that come out. So I don't want to rant for too long. I love this program. It's definitely been a big change in my life, and I love coming back to it every single time I get something new. And I'm so excited to answer your questions specifically about what you want to speak about.
That's incredible, Chris. I mean, I can hear your passion just with your words, and that's really powerful because I mean, I know I can speak for myself with the power of connection, and also overcoming, you know, we all have differences, but we also all have commonalities. And that is incredible that you guys offer an opportunity to come together despite all the things that we perceive may separate us. So that's incredible. Sold.
Yeah,
Very
well,
cool.
we're definitely here. I mean, film is a rare medium for people who aren't experienced in making it. Like, there's definitely, it's a combination of all these different mediums together, whether it's fine art that you want to put into the film, or we even had in the last workshop a veteran who's wanted to make a film about the Black American veteran experience, and he had already written a spoken word speech for something else, and he was able to combine it very brilliantly, I think, into the end of the film that we made, which was kind of like this. It was like started as like a Zoom talk, and somebody says the wrong thing, and then they kind of go back and forth. But what the reality is, what it really feels like to be a Black veteran, and what people aren't saying, and it became almost kind of like a documentary combined with this narrative piece. And I learned a lot about what you know, other regiments within the military that had been famous for having African Americans to great success, and it was really informative. So
That's amazing.
we definitely want you guys to come with an idea of what empowers you and what excites you and what kind of films you want to make, but also know that, like, we are here to meet together, to exchange ideas, to come up with you know, we can't make 10 films, unfortunately. It's just not possible. So we'll try to make 3 to 4, maybe usually probably around 3 with a group like this of films. If we have to stretch to 4 because the ideas are strong, that's something we're prepared to do. It's definitely the goal is to create work that you're able to be proud of and to show to your friends and colleagues and have an impact. Ultimately, the whole program is designed to address, you know, suicide rates in the military. And I think that is the ultimate goal, is whatever helps heal the trauma, whether it's listening or reacting to it, or just, you know, being a hand on the shoulder via Zoom. We're here for that.
I love the idea that this offers an opportunity to lift up voices that may not, you know, presently be heard. You know, extending that hand to pull others up, to give them the opportunity to, you know, speak their experience and share it in a very real and tangible way. I know that, you know, suicide rates within the military is an ongoing issue and problem that, you know, really affects so many of us. And I think that this is also a great opportunity for caregivers as well, because, you know, many caregivers also suffer from secondary trauma, you know, in caring for a veteran. And so I see that as also an opportunity to be able to bring those, you know, the awareness and those voices upward. That's incredible.
The weight is there. Like, we need to help each other kind of disseminate that weight in safe ways and talk about it, even just amongst the instructors. We always leave with a heavy debrief because we feel like we were able to take all the ideas, and as caregivers, you guys don't get to stop from doing that. That's the job, right? And
I think one of the things, if I had to, like, I'm mentally going through my list of what are the most often asked questions, one of them is always, do I have to have experience? And the answer is absolutely not. And the only thing you need is a phone with a camera for the Zoom-based workshop, a phone with a camera and a computer or a tablet and a stable Wi-Fi signal. But even once you've signed up, we're going to reach out to you and do a little speed test and see what you're doing
Very
with your
cool.
equipment, so that we know when you come on that you're going to be fully supported and you can absolutely do it without any experience.
That's incredible. And I love that you reach out to confirm that folks have the technology or the resources they need to be able to make this happen for them. So, I mean, along that same vein, I know you mentioned, you know, do you have to have any experience, but back to, you know, what do you make the film about? Can you make it about anything? Does it have to be veteran or, you know, caregiver related? I mean, what restrictions, if any, are there on these topics?
Well, I hope everyone will take a few minutes to look at our YouTube channel and to really get a feel of some of the films we've created, because yeah, I think you'll see really quickly, they just run the gamut. I mean, we had a workshop right after the election where we had a core group who were really committed to doing a comedy about a really serious topic. And we had folks dressed in red and folks dressed in blue throwing Gatorade at each other to prove a point of how silly it is. But also, you know, yeah, a really sweet message too about, you know, the green Gatorade as being what links everybody and that the military is here for everyone. To really, really serious films where we have one in particular that I'm thinking of where this was on a base, and this veteran really wanted his family to be involved, and he wanted to try to create a visual in the film of what it felt like to have baggage, like what that really meant. And he stacked up a bunch of boxes with different labels on it of what he was dealing with. And the filmmakers came up with this concept of just showing him walking down the hall with his child and all of these different aspects of his baggage, when they started to pile up, when they went down, how they changed over the decades. Another, like, really, you know, that one's a really moving film. So it runs the gamut.
That's the symbolism is powerful. I know I'm going to be visiting your YouTube channel today because these are just, it's beautiful, it's symbolic, it's incredible. I mean, I understand that this is an intensive workshop. If I remember correctly, it's about 3 days long of a commitment. How many hours per day do you generally spend in those 3 days working on this intensive project?
It's about 9 hours total, 3 hours each day. We do have a couple of little things that we like to have happen with the team after hours. We have a little bit of a really super fun homework assignment. I don't want to belabor it because it's really, really fun on homework. The first night. Fun homework. I mean, I think watching films is really fun. So that's
that's part of the homework. Okay.
That's the homework. Little, and not even a full one, just a little one. And then day 2 on Zoom is the brainstorming, and then breaking into small groups to just when you decide on what film topic you want and who you want to work with. And then day 3 is filming. So by day 3, I mean, day 2, you've mapped it all out. You've got your prop list. You've got the things that you need. You're going to run out to the Quick Mart and get the Gatorade. You're going to do all those things that you might need for the next day. And then the next day when you reconvene, you're shooting your film. And we have, you know, like Chris is a great example, but all of our film instructors are incredibly talented and incredibly experienced in this medium. So they're in those small groups will definitely help do a shot list and map out how the day of filming is going to flow, which is really important. So everyone feels like they know what they're doing the next day. And then we have an editing session, depending on how amazing the film is, how much energy people are putting into it. We go with the group. I mean, it's your film. By day 3, it's the caregiver's film. So if they want to do little editing here and there, that's okay too, you know, in the following days. But we try to have a rough cut by the end of day 3, and then we do a full screening in a few days after the workshop ends.
That sounds like a full experience. That's incredible. And
yes,
I mean,
but it's intense for sure.
Well, hey, intensive workshop. I mean, marketing is clear there. With all of that said, with this 3 hour per day commitment, will there be bathroom breaks should, you know, someone need to use the facilities?
Yes. Yes, and I'm there the whole time too, to sort of help facilitate if someone needs to pop off unexpectedly, but we also, Chris will make sure that everybody knows when those breaks are going to be so they can time around that. If they need to step out to talk to your child, is usually what I'm doing, or go to the bathroom or get some water, tell them to stop playing the piano or something.
Or how many snacks somebody needs. Stop raiding the pantry.
Right, why are you eating cookies and not carrots?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I get the multicolored carrots at this point. I feel like that's a really good selling point.
It is.
So
it's like, it's purple.
It's a purple potato. It's a magical carrot. This works. Yeah, you get really heavy into the marketing as a parent.
Exactly.
With that said,
but usually I will say one more thing though about that, which is that often, and you'll see this when you go on YouTube, that quite often family members end up appearing in day 3 as part of the workshop. And you'll see when you go onto YouTube and you watch some of those films, you'll see how that happens. Whether it's the daughter who can't wait to actually be the hand that throws the Gatorade, or actually acting in it. In a couple of cases, we've had definitely had some actors brought in, and certainly camera people too, who are at home and may be curious to get involved.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know my kiddo would definitely be interested in throwing Gatorade at folks. So I guess this one goes without saying, but I've got to ask it anyway. Do I have to have fun? Or am I allowed to have fun?
It is absolutely role. And I think it's the thing that everybody comes away with. I mean, this is a recreational therapy, and we always go back and forth between recreation and therapy. I think it's just, I don't know, Chris, what do you have to say about that?
I mean, we've designed it to be as fun as we can. I think we show you guys examples of just how it's possible. And I think all the goals are to create a visual shorthand, to share a visual language and terminology so that when we are shooting on day 3, everyone's more or less on the same page, and you have that creative room to be like, oh, I want to try this, I want to try that. Oh, what about this? Like, one quick anecdote, when we, one of my first workshops, my very first one actually, it was at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. And I had a group of two soldiers who didn't know each other. And they're both kind of the same age, probably late 20s, early 30s. And they're like, oh, okay. One of them was like, I had this experience that happened to me recently where, I was on the checkout line with my daughter, and I just didn't have enough money. I kept getting declined. And then the person behind me, out of nowhere, he just steps up, swipes his card, doesn't say a word. I say thank you, and I'm overwhelmed, right? And I was like, this is a great idea for a film. And the other soldier agreed. I was like, why don't we let's go find a grocery store, near the base. Let's figure this out. And they're like, no. Actually, we want to do this with our kids' toys. We want to use the Barbie dolls and the Toy Story toys, and we want to build a set. And they got really creative about it. It was almost like making an episode of South Park or something like that. It was a lot of fun. Yeah. And it was just a great time. And it was really a creative exercise in that, like, you're not limited by the reality of the situations that you had to deal with. This is your opportunity to use your imagination to get a second chance at that thing you wanted to say, or say what you've been trying to say, in a more concrete manner. And you have this brain trust of all these really brilliant, excellent instructors who come in with this idea that we want to help you figure that out. That's our job. We have the training to do that. We've had the failures and the sweat of doing that. We're here to empower you guys.
So I hear that, blood, sweat, and tears.
But anything's possible, really. Anything's possible. Anything that you want to articulate on film, we make it possible.
And some of the films have been super serious as well. That's definitely an aspect of, because, but there's a lot of therapy that comes out of the serious films for the people who make them too.
Yeah, I can imagine. What a beautiful outlet to be able to put that into, just to put it, even if not into words, into visuals, because sometimes there really aren't that many words that can describe, the more intricate feelings that we may be experiencing. So, I mean, I also want to, throw some curveballs at you as well from our community. But so how much time would it involve for the caregiver and our veteran? Some of our caregivers, in addition to caring for their veteran, they also have responsibilities to their kiddos. So if they, sorry, go
I
ahead.
would say if as long as one of you can participate the whole time, that's fine. As long as we've got
Okay.
one, if it's the two of you, it's your veteran, and it could be one, that you take the lead and that they, follow along, and then you kind of switch off. But we have done that. So yeah, do your
Okay,
best
very
though to
cool.
try to
Yeah.
spend as much time.
That's all we can do, is do our best. What about kiddos? What if, we're sitting there and somebody's kiddo kind of pops in and decides that they want to be a part of the show, or they just will not go away? I mean, is that something that's all right? Will we be shunned, or are we still able to just kind of go with the flow?
Well, I want Chris to answer this too, but I'll give you my answer. Usually what happens is that there's a fair amount of awe and there's a lot of watching that happens on the kids' side. You don't see a lot of like popping in necessarily, and I don't know why that is. I don't know whether there's something about watching a parent be creative and do something that they are usually doing, which is staring at a screen and learning.
Mhm.
I suspect that's it, but I'm not really sure.
It's something like being on the phone. There's just a little.
And absolutely stay listening, stay involved, because it's the workshop really builds on itself. So you're learning, and then boom, you're suddenly making your film. So once the juices are flowing and you're making your film and you're trying to figure out what are the many ways you can express whatever it is you want to express, that's usually where the kids get involved, I would say. That's where they're more active participants. Chris, what happened? We have this one film. Do you remember the film where everyone kind of broke out, even the filmmakers kind of broke out and did kind of their own version of what it means to be supported and to transition? And we had one filmmaker who did a whole scene with his son, right?
Overcome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Overcome.
It comes on the YouTube channel if anyone's curious about how that came out. It was a process that worked for them because they all lived somewhat close and decided to meet up mutually at a park and be safe. And then, yeah, in the interim, they wrote scenes that were, father to son, talking about what they were going through on a personal level and able to speak about that. And I'll speak for the group, we're very anti-shunning. So like, the thing, it's like you want to throw a party, film is kind of like that. You have to have people show up that'll help with all the other things, like even if it's just like the child wants to be involved and hold the camera, for a shot, or be in the background or be involved as a participant. We definitely find that it is not a solo process, and it's really hard to do it alone. Collaboration is the second word
Oh,
for that reason.
teamwork, collaboration,
Right.
team building.
Yeah, you can write a story on your own, you can paint a painting on your own, but you can't make a film on your own.
Definitely not.
That's right. Yeah, we tend to see that, that picture, but we don't see all the folks on the outside of that camera angle. See, Chris knows, because Chris is that guy. He's the one behind the camera. Okay, so I'm looking, it looks like we have maybe a few more, and then I think we'll be able to start wrapping it up. So we have a question. Let's see. We have, all right, one person wants to know if the YouTube channel link will be posted here. And Chris, you already got it handled. We definitely will be. We will also follow up with an email with that link. I'm glad that you're excited about this, because I am too. And for those in HHCC, I'll also be posting that as well. Got to share the love. We have another question, which was, ooh, I like this question. All right. how can folks who participate, or those who don't participate, how can they use the movies afterward, and can they win an Oscar?
Absolutely. I mean, I have to say that one of the most amazing, just incredible things about this organization and the long life this organization has had is how an amazing number of our participants have gone on to film school or to do their own films, and they've all shared them with us. It's definitely inspiring. The thing about film is that most people have tried painting and tried writing, but they haven't necessarily tried film, even if they're a creative person. And then once they get the bug, they just run with it. During the workshops, what we do is, because we know this is a safe space, we want everybody to feel like their ideas are their ideas. We don't actually ask any sort of permission to release the film until after the workshop is over and you've seen a rough cut of the film, or at least you have a very good idea of what the film's going to look like. And then we've never had anyone not sign the release, which is great. But we want you to feel secure that whatever you're putting, we want you to put out whatever it is you want to get out of your system. And if it isn't the prettiest and you want it out of your system, but not in other people's hands, and you don't want other people to see it, we want you to have the privilege of saying no. But that said, nobody's ever done that because the films are incredible. And then obviously you can see, we put them on our YouTube. We do a screening where you invite your friends and family to come and watch you talk about the workshop and reconnect with your filmmakers and watch the films together. And then it's really up to you. I mean, we've had people show the film over and over and over again to friends and family, send the link to friends and family. I had a Vietnam era veteran say to me, he came up to me at a screening and he said, I'm 68 and I have never been able to put into words what it's like to have PTS. And that does it. And I show that to my family. And I said, this is what my life is like every day. And to me, that was just the best commentary on our workshop, because it was a tool for him. Not only was the process a tool, but the film itself is a tool.
That's awesome. And I love that it can be an opportunity to reconnect, with those that they've worked with to make this happen. It sounds like folks get hooked. That's way cool. So I really appreciate you answering our questions and with so much authenticity. I mean, it sounds like an experience that you can really make into what you want it to be and what you need it to be. And that's exciting. I really want to thank you for coming to join us and have this discussion. I know that several folks within our community were very excited to have you guys on. And we appreciate that you provided us your time to answer these questions and to explain, your program to us. With that said, I would also like to take a moment to announce today's C3 prize winners. So within HHCC, we have Leia. I know you girls, so just reach out to me via private message, or you can email me. And I will provide that email in the comments thread. And then also via Zoom, we have Koban Shaw and Stacy Shade Ware. I once again apologize if I have butchered your names. I am notoriously horrible at that. So all that said, congratulations. You will be receiving, again, a free Wounded Warrior Project journal and that $25 Amazon e-gift card. So just email us at hhcc@elizabethdolefoundation.org. Again, that's hhcc@elizabethdolefoundation.org, so we can get you your winnings. So if you are interested in participating in the Caregivers Only Intensive Workshop with Patton Veterans Project, we will be sharing an interest form in the chat and the comments respectively. Remember though, this is a limited opportunity. It requires a 3-day commitment to participate. So please, on this form, please include your name, your email address, as well as a brief description of your interest in joining this workshop. You don't need to submit a full dissertation or novella. It just needs to be, just tell us why this would be exciting for you. 10 individuals will be randomly selected to participate in the workshop. And this workshop will be taking place between March 18th through the 20th. And Liz and Chris, is there anything else that you want to cover before we wrap up?
Nothing. I just wanted to say thank you for having us, and we are so excited to do this workshop with you.
Me too. Me too. I'm really excited to see what you guys cook up. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Liz. Everyone, I want to thank you for joining us for another C3. If you are joining us via Zoom and you are not already registered with HHCC, which once again, that's the Hidden Heroes Caregiver Community. If you are a caregiver, we highly encourage you to join this Facebook group for updates. It's also run by yours truly, so then you'll get to interface with me a lot more. I'm not a bad person, so you'll have a good time. Also, our group is inclusive for both military and veteran caregivers of all eras. So if you're caring for a wounded, ill, or injured service member or veteran, we would love to welcome you into our community. So please visit hiddenheroes.org/register to get started. So also, everyone be on the lookout for a follow-up email from us. And this will include today's webinar. It will include Liz and Chris's resources that we've discussed, the organization's information, and also a link to register with Hidden Heroes. So thank you everyone for joining us today. A big thanks to our partners at Wounded Warrior Project and the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for supporting the C3 series. We hope you really enjoyed today's C3, and stay in touch and have a wonderful day, y'all.
Thank you.